Okay, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'm Janice, and my yoga adventure is called Growing Light, Wellness, and Yoga. So I want to thank you guys for being here today. This is a fundraiser for the Fulton County Regional SPCA, and I really appreciate you coming out for that, and they do as well. So thank you. And we're going to do kind of a gentle flow tonight. I added in a couple of poses that are either named after or based on the movements of animals to go with our theme. So we'll get started. So I'm actually going to have you guys start lying on your back. So go ahead and lie on your back. And whatever way feels comfortable for you. If you'd like to, you can bend the knees, or you can just lie flat. Palms can be facing up to the sky or down on the mat next to you. Allow your feet to just relax away from each other and just release all the tension from your day. If it's comfortable for you, allow the eyes to close here. If lying on your back is uncomfortable, feel free to move to your side or to your belly. Let's take a moment to just connect with our breath. Bring one hand to your chest and one hand to your belly. And as you inhale, feel the breath travel through the body. Feel the chest rise and fall. Feel the belly rise and fall. Connect with this space that we're so lucky to be in today. The feel of the breeze on your skin, the sound of the water, the sun. And just take some deep breaths, allowing the chest to rise and fall and the belly to rise and fall. Take a moment to notice where you feel that breath the most as you inhale and exhale. For some people, it's in the nose. For some, it's in the throat, the chest, the belly. And all of those answers are the right answer. Whatever it is for you is the right answer. So just take some breaths and feel into that spot. Just noticing. And let that be your anchor breath. When a ship is at sea, its anchor can be dropped not to sink it, but to keep it from going too far off course. As we move through our practice today, recognize that that's what this breath is for you. Just a way to bring yourself back to the present moment, to allow yourself to anchor into the body and to just be here and to just be now. When you're ready, start to wiggle your fingers and toes, maybe stretching out long on your mat, maybe moving your head from side to side, shaking the hips back and forth a little bit, moving the ankles. And on your next inhale, draw both knees into your chest. They can be close together or wide, whatever feels comfortable to you. You can bring your hands to the knees, the shins, or the back of the thighs, and start to rock back and forth, maybe making some circles on the mat with your low back, giving yourself a little massage here, staying with that breath. On your next inhale, hug the right knee in and send the left leg out long on the mat. Foot is active like you're standing on it. And start to make some circles with that right knee and hip. Especially if you've been sitting all day, this is a great way to loosen up the hips and let go of some tension in the legs. When that feels complete, come back to stillness. Give that right knee a hug in towards the chest or the armpit. And on your next inhale, bring the left knee into the chest. Hug both knees in. And then on the exhale, send the right leg out long. And we'll do the same thing on the left side, just making some gentle circles with that left hip. Loosening up through the hip and the low back, where we hold so much tension through the day. So much of our weight rests here. Staying with that breath. On your next inhale, bring the right knee in, hug both knees into the chest, and exhale, bring your feet to the mat with your knees bent. Press down through the left foot and bring the right foot up toward the sky. So right foot is up in the air. And on your next exhale, bring the right ankle to the left knee and thigh area for reclined pigeon pose. If this feels great to you, stay here. Maybe give the knee a little push away from you. If you'd like a deeper stretch, you can reach between the legs and interlace your fingers around the back of the left thigh, pulling that thigh towards you as the right knee moves away. Shoulders are relaxed on the mat. Head and neck are on the mat. Inhaling and exhaling here. On your next inhale, pull that thigh in a little closer, and then as you exhale, release both feet back to the mat. Pressing down through the right foot as the left foot comes to the sky. And then cross the left ankle over the right knee for pigeon on the other side. Again, you can stay here if this feels great to you, or you can go for that deeper stretch with the fingers interlaced around the back of the right thigh, or even the right shin. As long as you keep the shoulders on the mat and the head and neck relaxed on the mat, pressing your low back and tailbone down. Breathe into the stretch. Stay in the present moment, in the breeze and the sunshine, in this beautiful stretch. And on your next exhale, release both feet to the mat. Roll over onto your side, whatever side is more comfortable for you. And give yourself a moment here in the fetal position to just rest and relax. Eyes can be open or closed. And then on your next inhale, push yourself up to a seat. So we'll start here with the soles of our feet together in butterfly pose. And if you'd like to, you can give yourself a little massage of the arches of your feet. Tend to be tight here as well, and we don't always recognize it. Moving any way that feels good to you. If you need to move through the neck and the shoulders here to get into this seated position. Bringing the hands to the ankles or the arches of the feet. Start to move your butterfly wings a little bit at whatever pace feels good to you as you inhale and exhale. And on your next inhale, come back to stillness, bring the chest forward, and exhale, gently fold over into the pose, letting the head and neck completely relax, nodding and shaking the head. As you inhale, feel the body rise just slightly with the breath, and as you exhale, feel yourself sink into the pose. Good. On your next inhale, come back to center and find your way to a cross-legged seat. If this doesn't work for you, take whatever seat feels good. You can stretch the legs out long, whatever you need to do. If the back feels tight here, sometimes it helps to take a block or a blanket and place it under the seat to get your hips up higher than your knees. We'll rest the hands on the knees and we'll start to move the spine a little bit. So as you inhale, move the chest forward. And as you exhale, rotate towards the back, arching the back. Inhaling forward, exhaling back. I always think of this as like a stirring motion, like you're stirring a bowl and you want to hit every side of it. Got something good in there, like brownie batter or something, cookie dough. Great. Head and neck are relaxed, just moving with the breath. And on your next inhale, change directions. Bringing all that movement into the spine, releasing any restrictions or tightness here. Relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Beautiful. And we'll come back to center. So we'll go into a seated twist here. So from that cross-legged position, we'll inhale the arms up overhead. And as we exhale, turn to the right. Right hand drops behind you. Left hand comes to the right knee. Inhale long. Exhale, twist a little deeper. With each inhale, you're lengthening through the crown of the head. And with each exhale, you're twisting just a little bit deeper. Good. With each inhale, lengthening. And with each exhale, twisting, relaxing the shoulders away from the ears. Maybe looking over that back shoulder if that's available to you. On your next inhale, come back to center, arms up overhead. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart center. And just take a moment here to reset. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, we'll move to the left. Left hand comes behind you, right hand to the left knee. Inhale to lengthen through the top of the head. Exhale to twist a little bit deeper. Good. If you feel like you're really leaning back, bring your hand in a little bit closer. Great. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale to twist, looking over that back shoulder if that's available to you. On your next inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart center. Great. From here, we'll transition to hands and knees. If you have problems with the knees, if they're sensitive at all, you can take a towel or double up your mat and put it under the knees for a little cushioning, or you can just stay in that seat that we were just in. So we're going to stack our joints here, knees under the hips, elbows, wrists, and shoulders in the same line. And we're really rooting down through our hands, really rooting down through every part of the hand, the fingers, the pads beneath the fingers, and it will help keep all the weight from dumping into the wrist. So as you inhale, move the chest forward, tailbone comes up, head stays in neutral spine, so you're looking ahead of you. For cow pose, exhale, arching the back, tailbone drops, head drops. For cat pose, inhale, coming forward, cow, exhale, back for cat pose. Inhale into cow pose, chest slides forward, tailbone up, belly dips toward the mat. As you exhale, that area between your shoulder blades really reaches toward the sky, the back of your heart. Inhale, coming forward. Exhale, cow or cat pose, sorry. And do a few more of those with your own breath. Great. Try to keep the shoulders, elbows, and wrists in the same line to protect the joints. Good. On your next inhale, we're going to slide forward all the way onto our bellies. However it feels good to you to get there, take your time. Hands are directly under the shoulders here. We're not putting a lot of pressure into the hands, just placing them under the shoulders as we move our elbows towards each other, move our shoulders down the back, and peel the chest off the mat for cobra pose. Exhale to release. Inhale to lift. Exhale, release. Great. Inhale to lift. Exhale, release. And on this last one, if you want to put a little bit of pressure into the hands to lift a little higher, you can do that. So inhale, maybe coming up just a little bit higher, reaching forward with the chest. And exhale, release. Pushing back into your tabletop pose, bringing the big toes together, knees wide apart, maybe as wide as the mat, sinking your hips back towards your heels, reaching the arms out long in front of you, resting the head on the mat or on a block for child's pose. Just stay here and breathe. Feel that breath move not only into the front of the chest, but into the back of the chest as well. Opening up the heart front and back, reaching all the areas of the lungs. And on your next inhale, moving back into tabletop. And I'm going to guide you into downward facing dog. So you'll be using that pressure into the hands again, like we talked about, pressing into the fingers, the pads of the hands, trying to keep the weight off the wrist here. As you tuck your toes, all 10 toes into the mat, and lift your bottom up and back, your tailbone up and back into your downward facing dog. Knees can be bent here as much as you need them to be. Your heels never have to touch the mat. They're just reaching toward the mat as your tailbone reaches to the sky. Biceps by the ears, biceps wrapping back so that your armpits are moving towards each other. And that eye of the elbow, the soft tissue of the elbow, is reaching forward toward the front of the mat. Great. Maybe pedaling out 1 foot at a time, bending the left knee, straightening the right leg, pushing the heel into the mat, bending the right knee, straightening the left leg, walking your dog. Inhale here, and on your next exhale, start to step forward towards your hands, as many steps as you need to get there, into your forward fold. So staying in that forward fold, maybe your hands find opposite elbows, maybe your hands are resting on a block or just hanging. Take a moment here to breathe. Nod the head yes and no. Releasing the neck. Good, staying there. Maybe swaying back and forth. Do you want to try a block? You can try that and see how that feels. Yeah, just rest your hands on top. How's that? And then you can release the neck a little bit more. Good. On your next inhale, bring your hands to your shins, bend your knees, and start to roll the body up 1 vertebra at a time, bringing the arms up overhead. And then exhale, palms turn out, hands come back down to the sides. Good. So in our standing poses, I like to build them from the ground up. So we start by rooting down toward all four corners of the feet. The way that looks is we lift our toes, spread the toes, and then intentionally plant the toes back down onto the mat. So weight is distributed evenly between the front of the foot and the back of the foot. The arch of the foot is engaged. The muscles of the legs are wrapping around the bones, drawing the front ribs in. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Palms turn forward for your mountain pose. Great. You guys all look strong and steady. Inhale the arms up overhead. Gaze can come up to the sky or straight in front of you. Inhale here. Exhale, turning the palms out, bringing the hands back down to the sides. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart center. Press the thumbs into the chest and just take a moment here to reconnect with the space around you, with that anchor breath, with the here, with the now. On your next exhale, release the hands. Inhale the arms up overhead. And on your next exhale, we're going to go into a side bend over to the right, pressing down through the left foot, reaching up through the left hand, creating a long line of energy from the foot to the fingers. On your next inhale, come back to center, and the exhale will go to the left. Great. Gaze can be up to the sky, down at the ground, or in front of you, whatever feels good to you today in your yoga. Inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale to the right. Inhale up overhead. Exhale to the left. Inhale, arms up overhead. And exhale, release the hands. Good. So we're going to do some movement, some rotation. So move your feet just slightly wider than hip distance apart. Just allow the arms to hang free here as you start to rotate the body side to side, allowing the arms to wrap the waist, make contact with the body for willow tree. Or in Qigong, this is called knocking on the door of life. So awaken that energy. If it feels good to you as you turn, you can lift the heel, moving into the hips a little bit. Maybe bringing one arm up to the shoulder and one around the waist. That feels a little different. And then bringing the hands back to the waist and finding your way back to stillness. Before we move into our sun salutations, I want to move through bear pose, which is a little bit of a strengthening pose. So again, using that principle of lifting the toes, but we start almost like in a chair. So you'll sink the hips back like you're sitting in a chair. Chest stays moving forward and up as you lift the arms here. So that's your chair pose. You should be able to lift the toes here. Weight is in the heels. And then to move into bear, we keep the arms extended as we hinge forward at the waist. Keeping the back long. Beautiful. That looks great. And then inhaling to come up. Good. And exhale the arms back down to the side. So let's do that one more time. Inhale the arms up overhead. Sink back into your chair pose. This is a great pose because it's really, you're moving in opposite directions. The hips are going down and the rest of the body is rising. On your next inhale, bend forward at the waist. Arms are out long in front of you. Spine is long. Good. And inhale back up. Great. So now we'll move to the front of the mat for our sun salutations. Is anybody new to sun salutations? Have you done them before? You already did all the poses that are in them, so you're going to be good. You'll see. So we'll move through the first one a little slowly, and then I'll talk you guys through some a little bit faster to build a little bit of heat, okay? So inhale the arms up overhead. Exhale, folding forward into your forward fold. Inhale, bring your hands to your shins, lift halfway. Perfect. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back into your plank pose. Exhale, lower down to the mat. Inhale, cobra. See, you knew it was coming. Exhale, tuck the toes, lift the hips up and back for downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale, step forward to meet your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rising, either rolling up or reverse swan dive, bringing the arms up overhead. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart center. Good? Okay, so let's go through that a couple more times. I'm going to turn this way so I can see you guys. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, folding forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back into plank. Exhale, lower the knees and lower to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Beautiful. Exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale, step into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Rise, whatever way feels good to you. Exhale, hands to heart center. Great. So I'm going to talk you through 2 more of those, and I'm just going to watch you, okay? So inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back into your plank pose. Exhale, lower down to the mat. Inhale, lifting the chest for cobra. Exhale, tucking the toes, lifting the hips up and back through downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale, stepping forward into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to rise, whatever way feels good to you. Excellent. One more time. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back into your plank pose. Exhale, lower down to the mat. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, tucking the toes, downward facing dog. Inhale here. Exhale, stepping into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale to rise. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart center. How's everybody feel? Good? Good. So let's do another chair pose variation. This time we're going to cross our arms into eagle arms. So this time, bring your arms wide and sink down into your chair as you rise up through the chest. Cross the left arm under the right arm, and you can either grab opposite shoulders, or if you're able to, you can wrap the arms, bringing the palms together. Great. Lift the elbows. Beautiful. Look at you, eagles. Exhale, release the arms, rising up out of your chair. Great. So now we'll do the other side. Inhale, arms wide, sinking back into the chair. Exhale, crossing the right arm under the left arm, and either taking opposite shoulders or wrapping the arms. Lifting the elbows. It's a great stretch to the shoulders. Exhale, release the arms, rise up out of your chair. Go ahead and shake it out a little bit there. I want you to transfer all of your weight into the left foot. Same principle, the toes are spread wide, you're rooting down through all 4 corners of the foot, and you're just going to start to bring the right heel off the mat as you open the right knee wide. Great. You can stay here. I might need to stay here. My balance is a little wonky today. Or you can start to lift the foot, placing it on the calf, or if you want to go higher, on the thigh, avoiding the knee joint. Bring the hands to heart center. You can just actually lift it right up there. Great. Press the foot and the thigh against each other like you're trying to squeeze something really valuable and hold it there. If you're feeling good here, inhale, hands up overhead. Wherever the foot is, you're still getting the benefits of the pose. That looks great. Just reaching through your branches. Exhale, lowering the arms, lowering the leg, and we'll move to the other side. So transferring all the weight and effort into the right foot, lifting the left heel off the mat, opening the left knee, staying here, or moving to the calf or the thigh, pressing the leg and the foot together as you raise your arms up overhead to spread your branches. See if you can open that knee a little bit wider. Perfect. With the balance, it helps if you pick a point about 2 feet in front of you, something that's not moving, and fix your gaze on that. And that can help you to keep from wobbling. Although if you wobble, that's okay. Balance changes all the time. And exhale, hands come down, leg comes down. Okay, so we'll come to the top of the mat. We're going to inhale our arms up here. And exhale as we step our right foot back into our crescent pose. So all 10 toes are pointing towards the top of the mat. The front knee is deeply bent, but lined up over the ankle. The back heel is lifted. And you can raise the chest into a little back bend here. Exhale, bringing the hands to the mat. Lowering the back knee, relaxing that foot. Good. Bring the hands to the thigh and arms up overhead for Anjaneyasana, pose of devotion. And maybe adding in a little back bend here as you look up and take in this beautiful sky. Great. Exhale, bring the hands back to the mat. You can use blocks here to make it a little bit easier. It just brings the ground to you. You're going to straighten that front leg, bringing the toes towards your nose, hinging back at the hips like we did for bear pose, moving the chest forward into your half split. Inhale into your low lunge, lifting the arms if you'd like to. Exhale into your half split. Good. Inhale into your low lunge. Bring the hands back to the mat. Fire up that back leg, lift that back knee, and step it forward to meet the front foot into your forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. When you get there, that's okay. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, hands together. Heart center. Great. So we'll inhale, arms up overhead. And this time we will step the left leg back. Is that right? And the front knee is deeply bent, lined up over the ankle. If you feel unsteady here, you can widen your stance, bringing the feet further apart, not this way, but this way. Bring in that little back bend here. Good. And exhale, bringing the hands to the mat, bringing the back knee down to the mat, relaxing that foot. Bringing the hands to the thigh. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, hands to the mat or to blocks. As you straighten that front leg, bringing your toes to your nose and the chest forward into your half split. Good. Can you see me okay? So like this. Good. Inhale into your low lunge. Exhale, half split. Inhale, low lunge. Good. Exhale, half split. And we'll inhale into our low lunge. Bringing the hands to the mat, firing up that back leg, lifting the back knee, and just gently stepping forward to meet the front foot in our forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, either rolling up or reverse swan dive all the way up. Arms overhead. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart center. That was great. So now we're going to move our feet about this wide apart. So about as wide as they would be if you were to reach your hands out. Bring the hands to the waist. Bring the elbows towards each other, shoulders back, lifting the chest. Inhale here. And as you exhale, lead with the chest, folding at the waist. Stop halfway here. And then exhale, lower all the way down. You can bring your hands to the mat or to a block. Inhaling and exhaling, staying in that forward fold. On your next inhale, bend the knees and start to roll your way back up to stand. This time we'll do it with a little shoulder stretch. If you have restriction in the shoulders, you certainly do not have to do this. We're going to clasp our hands behind us, rolling the shoulders back and opening the chest to the sky. Good. So just like we did with our hands on the waist, but giving us a little deeper stretch this time. Inhale here. And as you exhale, keeping the hands clasped behind the back, leading with the chest into your forward fold. Hands can stay resting on the low back, or you can bring them away from the back for a deeper stretch. So just continue into your forward fold, hands wherever they're comfortable, giving yourself a little deeper stretch through the chest and the shoulders, rolling the shoulders back. Great. Exhale, release the arms, bringing the hands to the mat. And inhale to roll up to stand. Good. Make your way back to the front of your mat. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, step back into your cobra pose, or your plank pose, top of a push-up. As you exhale, bring the toes together, knees wide, hips sink back into your child's pose. And stay here for a few breaths. We just did a lot of tough balance work and strength. So give yourself a few moments here to just enjoy this resting pose. Maybe pressing down through the hands to allow that stretch to the shoulders. Maybe rocking the hips from side to side if that feels good to you. On your next inhale, just rise up onto your fingertips, bringing the head up, chest up, and bringing the hands all the way to the right. And then exhale into that fold on the right side. Stretching through the left side body, through the armpits, all those areas that we don't give enough love. On your next inhale, rising up, coming back to the center. Exhaling here, just giving yourself 1 moment to stretch through the center. Inhaling, rising, and exhaling over to the left. Sinking down, you can rest the head on the mat or a block. You can come up onto your fingers like little spider hands, tent the hands. And that can give you a little bit deeper stretch as well. Great. And then inhale to rise, come back to center. Exhale into your child's pose. Just take a few breaths here as you appreciate this rest. And on your next inhale, make your way to a seat. So from here, we're going to go back into our butterfly pose, which was like around where we started, and just notice if it feels any different. If it doesn't, that's okay. But you may notice that things feel slightly different moving into this pose after a almost full practice. You can move your wings here. Inhale to pull the chest forward, and exhale, just allowing the back to round as you relax into this pose. Sometimes it's more comfortable for people if you move the feet further away. That gives you a little more space in the groin and the hips. It doesn't matter how far you go, it matters how you go. So as long as it feels good in your body, you're doing it right. Inhale to rise. And we'll stretch the legs out long here. Bring the hands next to the hips. Rooting down through the hands, pressing your legs into the mat, bringing the shoulders and ribs over the hips, tucking the chin slightly, reaching up through the crown of the head, engaging the belly button so you feel it pulling back and up. For staff pose, feet are flexed. This is a pose that doesn't look like much is happening, but it's actually pretty active. Inhale here and exhale to release. Bring the right foot into the left inner thigh, pressing the foot and thigh against each other. You can bring the left leg out at a little bit of an angle here to make this forward fold a little more comfortable to you, so about a 45-degree angle. And we'll inhale the arms up overhead, and then exhale, just folding forward, either over the leg or through the center for half dragonfly pose. Inhale, lengthening through the chest, and then exhale, just allowing yourself to maybe sink a little bit deeper into the pose. Releasing the head and the neck. Feeling that sensation of stretch in the left inner thigh, and maybe a little bit along the right glute. Inhale to rise, and exhale, legs out long. Good. Inhale, arms up overhead, and exhale, seated forward fold. Again, it does not matter how far you go. Your hands can be on the thighs, they can be on the shins, or on the feet. Just reaching through the chest, through the crown of the head. Folding at the hips. If this is not comfortable for you, you can bend the knees. It'll give you a little more gentle stretch in the low back. Inhale to rise, and exhale, release. Now we'll inhale, bringing the left foot into the right inner thigh, maybe moving the right leg out at a little bit of an angle as we move into half dragonfly on the other side. Inhaling the arms up overhead, exhale, folding forward, releasing the forearms to the ground or to the leg, maybe the hands. You can use a block here to rest under the forearms or under the head. And sometimes the block will deepen this stretch because you can actually drop your head in between the arms. And again, just lengthening and then rounding, just allowing that release through the back and through the neck, maybe nodding and shaking the head. And as you inhale, rising back up, bringing the legs back out long. We'll go one more time into that forward fold, inhaling, arms up overhead, exhale, folding forward. And maybe that feels a little easier this time, a little more easeful. Maybe you could feel like you can go a little deeper, or maybe you choose to bend your knees and bring that more gentle stretch into the low back. Whatever feels good to you. Inhale to rise. Now you'll bring your left leg parallel to, let's see, you guys are sitting this way. So to the front of the mat, and the right leg bends so it's facing the side of the mat like this. Good. For deer pose. See what I did there? More animals. Inhale, lifting the chest. Good. It's okay if one of or the other of the hips isn't touching. We're doing both external and internal rotation in this pose, and most people are not great at both. So if one is not comfortable for you, that's okay. Oh, there's a whole bunch of deer down there. There's a mom and two babies. Good. Exhaling here. If you feel good here, you can start to fold. If the hips lift, that's okay. And then inhaling back to center, and we'll move to the other side. So bring the legs back out in front of you. Right shin comes parallel to the front of the mat. Left shin parallel to the side of the mat. This is one of the great things about doing yoga outside, I think. You really get to feel like you're part of the world. Inhaling the chest forward. And if you're comfortable here, exhaling over the legs, remembering that it's okay if both hips are not on the ground. For most people, that they won't be able to do that. And inhaling to rise. So we'll move into a couple of poses on our back before we move into our Shavasana. And some of these are things that we did at the beginning of class. So again, we're just noticing if anything feels different here. So before we move on to our backs, we'll just do a little bit of core strengthening. So bring your hands next to your hips. Knees are bent. Chest is moving towards the thighs as you lift one leg. And if it feels good, lifting the other leg. Or just lifting one leg at a time. Good. Great. If this feels great, you can bring the hands to the backs of the knees or lift the hands. Good. And wherever you are is perfect. So just lifting one leg at a time, moving the chest forward, and exhale, release. Great. Now we'll move on to our backs, one vertebra at a time. So bringing both knees into the chest, give yourself that rock on the low back like we did when we started. Maybe making some circles, rocking side to side. And then finding your way back to stillness in the center of the mat. Reach the arms out long to the sides, and we'll move into a twist. If the shoulders are tight here, you can bring the hands to the belly and then just position the arms wherever they feel comfortable. So inhaling here, exhale, dropping the knees to the left. Gaze can be over the right shoulder. To deepen the stretch, you can look up at the sky, or you can look over the left shoulder for a more restorative version. Feel the back open here, and the breath move up and down the spine. Maybe reconnect to that anchor breath. On your next inhale, bring the knees back to the center. And on your next exhale, drop the knees to the right. And again, if your shoulder's uncomfortable, you can bring that left hand to the waist or at any position next to you that feels good, even if it's at an angle. Try to release the shoulders onto the mat. Gaze can be out over the left shoulder, over the right shoulder, or up at the sky. And just give yourself a few moments here to unwind and release through the spine and the hips. On your next inhale, bring the knees back to center. Give yourself that little roll back and forth on the mat. Exhale, stretch out nice and long, maybe giving yourself a yawn or a sigh, and moving in any way that you feel you still need to move to release anything that you need to release to move into our Shavasana or resting pose. So for Shavasana, we're going to bring our feet wide to the edges of the mat and allow them to open. Breath to return to its normal rate and rhythm, allowing yourself to just take up space and be part of this beautiful place and this time, this here and this now. If you're comfortable here, allow the eyes to close. Feeling the belly and the chest rise and fall with the breath. Bring your attention to the palms of your hands and the soles of your feet. Release any gripping or tension that you might be holding here. any curl of the toes, any clench of the hands. Just releasing, allowing the breath to flow through the body and then out of the nose, the mouth, the hands, the feet. Bring your attention to your big toes and just relax the toes. Feel them completely relax. Allow that sense of peace and relaxation to spread to the ankles. Just releasing and relaxing any tension that might be held there. Allow that relaxation to start moving up the leg, through the Achilles, the shin, the calf. Just releasing anything that you're holding there. To the knees. Just relaxing the knees, the upper legs, the thighs, the hips, and feel the sense of relaxation that comes with the entire lower body just being released and relaxed. Relax your low back and your belly, feeling that release as your breath moves in and out. Relaxing the chest and the middle and upper back. Moving your attention to your shoulders where we hold so much stress. Just releasing all of that right now. Just allowing yourself to be completely supported and held by your mat, by the ground, by the earth. Let that sense of relaxation move down your arms and out through your fingertips. Bring your attention to your neck. And any tension that you might be holding there, just release it on the breath. You can watch it flow out of the body. Moving to the face, unclench your jaw. Let your teeth separate slightly. Let your tongue move away from the roof of your mouth. Relax the muscles in your face, around your ears, around the nose. Relax your eyes and the muscles in the eyelids and the forehead. Relax the scalp. Relax your internal organs. They're always working. They're not going to stop working, but you can relax. And your brain. Allow any thoughts that arise to come and go. You don't need to react to them right now. You can just notice them and watch them pass like clouds in the sky, releasing them on the breath. And feel the sensation of your entire body, inside and out, just being completely and totally relaxed, completely supported and held, completely at ease and safe. And just take a few moments here to breathe and rest in that silence, breathing and noticing, not attaching to anything, just letting all thoughts and sensations rise and pass. And I'll give you a few moments here to rest in silence, and then I'll ring a chime to help bring you back into your body and into this environment. So just take a few moments here in peace. Just allowing your attention to come back to the breath, back to the area around you. Bringing some movement back into the body, wiggling the fingers and toes. Maybe allowing that movement to come up the legs. Maybe rocking the hips side to side, moving the shoulders, moving the head back and forth. I want to just share with you quickly a poem called The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. The peace of wild things. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, and fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water, and I feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free. On your next inhale, bring yourself to your side into the fetal position and allow yourself a moment there to just curl up and feel that you are resting in the grace of the world. Feel that freedom that your practice brings you, that the breath can bring you, that you can have any time. You can always come back to this moment. When you're ready, make your way back up to a seat. Eyes can be open or closed. Bringing the hands to the knees. Inhaling the arms up overhead. Exhale, palms together, hands to heart center. I want to thank you all for coming today, for showing up on your mat and in your life, and for letting me be your guide and hold space for you in this practice. Take a breath here, bringing the thumbs to the forehead, maybe giving ourselves a little massage here, and exhale, releasing the hands to the sides. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you all again soon.